Is Dylan Harper the next big thing? At just 18 years old, this 6'6" guard from Rutgers has turned the college basketball world on its head. Yet the question isn't just whether he's a star, it's whether he should be the #1 pick in the NBA draft. For months, Cooper Flagg was the clear favorite with his defensive versatility and sky-high potential. But then Harper came along, not just making noise, but shifting the entire conversation. So let's dig in. Is Dylan Harper truly deserving of that coveted top spot? First, let's set the stage. Harper isn't just any freshman, he's a player rewriting the rulebook. With a 6'10" wingspan, a polished defensive game, and the ability to both score and facilitate, he's the exact type of modern guard NBA teams drool over. His stats this season? Eye-popping. Over 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, and nearly 5 assists, all on incredibly efficient shooting splits. But here's the kicker. He's doing this in the Big Ten, which, let's be honest, is one of the toughest conferences in college basketball. Harper's journey to this moment is just as compelling. He grew up in New Jersey with basketball royalty in his blood. His father won 5 NBA championships, and his brother played at Rutgers too. Yet, Harper isn't just following a legacy, he's forging his own. From being the McDonald's All-American MVP to committing to Rutgers over blue blood programs like Duke and Kansas, every step of Harper's rise feels calculated, deliberate, and frankly, dominant. But the accolades and stats are only half the story. When you watch Dylan Harper play, you see something that doesn't show up in box scores: his poise. Whether it's orchestrating pick and rolls or draining clutch threes, Harper looks more like a seasoned veteran than a freshman. That confidence combined with his versatility is why scouts are now comparing him to the likes of Luka Doncic, a big guard who controls the game effortlessly and needs no introduction. Still, not everyone's convinced. Critics argue that Harper's defense needs work or that his lack of explosive athleticism could limit his upside. And then there's the shadow of Cooper Flagg, who has been hailed as a defensive unicorn. But what if Harper doesn't need to be a defensive anchor to justify his case? What if his offensive brilliance is so overwhelming that it overshadows those concerns? That's the debate brewing in scouting circles right now. And if you're thinking this is just hype, Harper has already made history this season. He became the first player in Rutgers history since 1983 to record a triple-double. In a blowout win against Columbia, Harper dropped 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists with only 1 turnover. Performances like that aren't just impressive, they're rare, especially for an 18-year-old playing in his first collegiate season. But does that make him #1 material? Or is Harper just a flash in the pan, riding a hot streak that will cool off as the season progresses? Let's move into the heart of the debate. What separates Harper from Cooper Flagg, and does it even matter? Now, here's where things get really interesting. Dylan Harper's case as the #1 pick isn't just about his stats or his ability to take over games, it's about how his skill set fits in the modern NBA. He's not just a scorer, he's a creator. He's not just a playmaker, he's a problem solver. But for every highlight reel Harper produces, there's always the elephant in the room: Cooper Flagg. Flagg, the 6'9" forward out of Duke, has been labeled a once-in-a-generation defender. Scouts gush over his shot blocking, lateral quickness, and ability to guard multiple positions. Harper, on the other hand, doesn't have the same defensive skill set. Critics point to his on-ball defense as a weakness, saying he doesn't yet have the lateral quickness or consistent effort to excel on that end. It's a fair critique. Flagg feels like a safer bet defensively, and in the NBA, defense wins championships, right? Right? Well, maybe in the 80s and 90s. But here's the counterpoint. Harper's offensive ceiling is through the roof. In today's NBA, teams need more than just a stopper. They need a star who can carry the offense. Harper checks every box offensively. He's not just scoring, he's doing it efficiently and in every way imaginable. Mid-range pull-ups, step-back threes, slashes to the rim, you name it, Harper's got it in his bag. And let's not overlook his passing. That triple-double against Columbia wasn't a fluke. Harper's court vision and ability to pick apart defenses out of pick-and-roll situations are reminiscent of some of the league's best guards. Now, think about the evolution of the NBA. Guards like Luka, SGA, and James Harden have shown that you don't need elite speed or insane athleticism to dominate. It's about skill, IQ, and body control, all areas where Harper shines. Even though he's not as quick as, say, Ja Morant, Harper has this uncanny ability to dictate the pace of the game. He's always in control, and his strength allows him to finish through contact like a seasoned pro. But to really understand the debate, let's zoom in on one specific moment. Against Seton Hall, in one of the most thrilling games of the season, Harper hit a buzzer-beating three to seal the win. With 6.4 seconds left, he took the ball coast to coast, creating just enough separation with a crafty dribble move before calmly sinking the game winner. That shot wasn't just another bucket, it was a statement. A moment like that shows more than skill. It shows confidence, leadership, and a clutch gene that's impossible to teach. And yet, there's still this lingering question. Can Harper's offense outweigh Flagg's defense? It's easy to get lost in the highlights and the accolades, but this is where the conversation becomes nuanced. Flagg may not be as prolific offensively, but he's no slouch either. He's putting up solid numbers at Duke, and his defensive impact has been game-changing. Scouts are torn. Some believe Harper's all-around offensive brilliance gives him an edge. Others argue that Flagg's versatility and potential as a two-way star make him the safer choice. But here's the wild card: Harper's improvement trajectory. Since the season began, his three-point shooting has jumped from 27% to over 46% in just a few weeks. That kind of rapid improvement suggests he's not even close to hitting his ceiling yet. If he can continue to refine his defense and prove himself against tougher Big Ten competition, it'll be hard to keep him out of the top spot. And don't forget his intangibles. Harper's poise, basketball IQ, and ability to rise to the occasion aren't just buzzwords, they're real. He's already shown he can handle pressure, lead a team, and perform at an elite level. That's what separates great players from good ones. And remember, he's still just a freshman. Flagg may have the defensive edge, but does he have that same killer instinct? That's what NBA scouts are wrestling with. As the season progresses, Harper's consistency will be put to the test. Can he maintain this high level of play as the Big Ten heats up? Can he step up against top-ranked opponents and prove that he's not just a scorer, but a leader who can elevate his team? These are the questions that will define his case for the #1 pick. But before we jump to conclusions, let's get to the climax of this debate, the defining moments and what they reveal about Harper's readiness for the NBA spotlight. Here's the defining moment. Harper isn't just matching expectations, he's exceeding them in ways that challenge the very framework of what we think a #1 pick should look like. In a world where defense and athleticism often dominate draft boards, Harper is proving that elite offense combined with intangibles can shift the balance. The debate isn't just Harper versus Flagg anymore, it's about how teams value different skill sets and what they prioritize in their quest to build a franchise. Harper's breakout performances have come with signature moments that elevate him beyond stats. Take his back-to-back 35-point games against high-level competition. Those weren't just scoring clinics, they were masterclasses in control and decision-making. Whether he's splitting double teams or threading impossible passes out of the pick and roll, Harper plays like a veteran who understands how to manipulate defenses. And when Rutgers faced Columbia, his triple-double wasn't just a first for the program in decades, it was a microcosm of what makes him special: scoring, playmaking, rebounding, and leadership. But let's not ignore the critics. The biggest knock against Harper remains his defense. His off-ball awareness can waver, and while his 6'6" frame and 6'10" wingspan give him potential, he doesn't yet have the instincts or consistency to make a significant impact on that end. Compare that to Cooper Flagg, who's already altering games with his shot blocking and ability to switch onto guards and bigs alike. Flagg's defense is the stuff of scouting dreams, and that's what makes this debate so fascinating. It pits offense against defense in its purest form. So, how do you weigh those factors? Is it better to bet on a player who can anchor your defense for years to come? Or do you take the guy who can instantly transform your offense into a top-tier unit? The answer likely depends on the team holding the #1 pick. The rising tension reaches its peak with Harper's recent clutch performances. His buzzer beater against Seton Hall wasn't just another highlight, it was a defining moment in his argument for the #1 spot. Scouts don't just want stats, they want players who shine in big moments. Harper's ability to take over games late, to embrace the pressure and deliver when it matters most is a trait that separates stars from role players. As the season unfolds, the falling action begins to take shape. Harper's numbers remain stellar, but the tougher Big Ten schedule looms. This is where we'll see if he can sustain his efficiency against some of the best defenses in the country. If Harper can continue to dominate, even against the likes of Purdue and Michigan State, the number one conversation will only tilt further in his favor. The resolution to this debate? It may not come until draft night, but one thing's clear. Dylan Harper has forced his way into the conversation. He's not just a contender, he's a legitimate threat to unseat Cooper Flagg as the top pick. And in a league that values versatility, playmaking, and scoring efficiency, Harper's offensive arsenal is too compelling to ignore. Ultimately, it's not just about who's better today. It's about who has the tools to be a franchise cornerstone 5, 10, or 15 years down the line. Cooper Flagg might have the edge on defense, but Dylan Harper's offensive brilliance, combined with his ever-improving skill set, makes him a prospect that NBA teams will have a hard time passing up. Should he be the number one pick? That's for the scouts to decide. But if he keeps playing like this, the better question might be, how could he not be?